As we're coming to the 1 year mark since I left my corporate finance job to pursue my passion here on YouTube, I've had to change many of the ways in which I live my life to support a far lower income. So today, I want to share some of the helpful tips that I've used to be able to still enjoy my quality of life while drastically spending less money. Have a budget that works for you. NerdWallet did a study where they discovered that 74% of American adults have a budget, and 84% of those that budget overspend. I personally believe that a budget is one of the best financial tools that we should all utilize, especially those with a lower income, because the purpose each dollar serves is even more important. With that being said, a budget is specifically designed to be able to help you achieve your financial goals. So if the budget you're using just isn't working, or you've used one in the past and it didn't provide value to you, I strongly recommend to find a budget that actually fits your need the best. Now, I just recently did a whole video on a budget, and I'll make that easily accessible. To just summarize that, I believe it's very important to simplify your essential purchases, or the ones that are needed for survival here on Earth, so you can put all of your attention and prioritize the debt and the non-essential purchases in your life to begin a building phase. This doesn't mean that you have to strip everything that you enjoy doing in your life. It just means that we now need to be creative in the ways in which we achieve that. It takes time. One of the biggest mistakes I believe holds most people back financially, including myself, is wanting success to happen quickly. We desperately want to get out of whatever situation we're in. We want to be able to support our family quicker. We want to be able to finally leave the job we hate and go pursue our passion. Or to finally leave the job we've been at for 30 years to go travel the world with our partner. But unfortunately, most of us have made the decision to risk far more resources to have that happen quicker than to be able to do what we knew was going to work, but was going to take longer. I know for myself personally, when I began my investment journey when I was about 20 years old, I was a loyal disciple to Warren Buffett. I made sure to follow his fundamentals. I made sure to always have a forward-thinking mindset, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And when I did this, I found that I was very successful in my investment journey. I did quite well early on because I had a plan. I knew that it was going to be difficult up front, but I continued to pursue. Then there came a point where I was very unhappy and just not in a good place at the job that I was at or at the bank that I was working. And so I desperately wanted to leave. So I started to use my investment account as like a lottery system. I started doing far riskier investments because I was no longer forward thinking. I needed a solution to solve my problem at the moment. And none of them worked. Thankfully, I quickly understood that I needed to set some sort of timetable on the misery that I was going to be a part of. I needed to have some sort of boundary for the direction I was going to embark on. So what I did is I gave myself a year and a half to save up as much money as I could to be able to quit my job. And when a year and a half came up, I quit, and here I am. But it was very difficult to be able to see the end of the tunnel back when I just couldn't stand my job. But I narrowed the tunnel, so it made it a little bit easier for me to see. I've had many conversations with clients that were very upset at where they were financially or desperate to be able to pay off their debt or all of these different situations. And what I found worked best and is just very important is I would say, what you're going through is going to be difficult. There's going to be struggles, and there's going to be times that it's just going to feel like you're not going to be able to achieve it. But it's important that you know this, because at some point you will overcome it. This is just a momentary glimpse of struggle. And then I would ask them, what are ways that you can achieve this goal? And it's always make more money, spend less money. That's typically how it works financially. So with that, in 6 months, can you achieve this goal? No. Okay. In a year, can you achieve it? No. In a year and a half, can you achieve it? No. And you keep doing 6 months intervals until you say yes. And now you've been able to narrow the tunnel and say, if you make more money, you spend less money, you're going to be able to achieve your goal in 2 years. It's going to suck, but it's going to get easier as you pursue that goal. I believe that this is very important because it helps us get rid of that kind of like existential crisis of whatever situation we're in now is just going to be that way for all eternity. That just isn't the case. It's a season that we're embarking on. And sometimes the goal is going to take many, 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 many years. But that's okay, because we just have to embrace it and realize this is just a part of our path. And while it's easier said than done, I can say that for myself, it has worked, and I've seen it work quite well for other people. We just have to kind of embrace the difficulty up front. Cook meals that guarantee leftovers. For most of us, food is going to be the second or third largest expense behind housing and maybe transportation. That's especially relevant with how expensive groceries and just food in general have gotten here in the past couple years. I know that when I quit my job, I still wanted to maintain the priority to have healthy organic food, but I knew that I needed to achieve it in a new, affordable way. So what I began doing was finding recipes that would fit in a crock pot, that had very simple ingredients, and would hopefully feed a family. I knew that it would be a bunch of food. And so I would find recipes that like chili, roast, chicken casseroles, pasta dishes, or even just going as simple as a rotisserie chicken with like a box of salad, are all wonderful ways to be able to get a lot of food for like $5, $10, $15. I know with most of those meals, that can last me 3 days, and I eat twice a day. Hopefully, those of you that have families, it can last a couple days. I believe that this has been really beneficial to allow me to have really high quality food, not have to spend much time or effort in actually cooking it, and to just save a tremendous amount of money. Other ways that I complement this is I like to buy bulk protein. So if you go to Costco here in Austin, Texas, you can get 3 packs of grass-fed beef for the price it costs for 2 packs of grass-fed beef at the local grocery store or H-E-B. This allows me to make sure that we always have food either in the freezer or in the fridge. In case we ever lose those accessory items, there's still protein that we can make a meal from. And lastly, I just completely stopped buying accessories such as like chips, or I can't say completely. I mostly stopped buying chips or cookies, especially Oreos, because it's just not healthy. And typically I find that I spend the most money on that and not the actual things that have nutrients. So this one is just a very practical thing I think could help most people, but I find that I've been able to drastically reduce how much money we've been spending on groceries by just doing larger meals and dividing it up into different quantities. Discover your boundaries. The electrical company here in Austin, Texas just recently rose their prices by an additional 10%. And so what I did is I just decided I'm going to just cut the AC off during the day. And so I would wake up, I would open the sliding glass door to our back patio, and I would just let the natural breeze kind of cool off the apartment. And at first, I felt that it was stuffy. I felt that it was kind of hot and uncomfortable. But actually, very quickly, I've learned to just love it. I love being able to hear the birds chirping in the back. I love the natural breeze that comes in. I found that it's actually helped my allergies substantially. And then to just discuss the financial impact, it's drastically reduced my electrical bill. And I know that, during the summer, it's going to get hotter and maybe I'll change this up a bit, or during the winter, I probably won't be able to utilize it. But with that being said, I wouldn't have found the benefits that I am enjoying at the moment if I wouldn't have been pushed to discover this. So what I've began doing is testing a lot of beliefs or a lot of things that I think that we're supposed to do and seeing if it actually provides value in my life. I believe that modern society very much prioritizes comfort. Every single thing in our life is designed to make things easier. It's designed to provide a purpose in our life. And what I'm finding is that's not necessarily true. I think that we live by a lot of just kind of beliefs that we have that we don't actually ever test. Like, I'm saving a tremendous amount of money on our water bill by just wearing shirts or shorts more than just one time. I wear it until I know that it needs to be washed. And in a way, this sounds like I'm being cheap, but I think the fundamentals are important of why do we believe these things? Should I test it out to see if it provides a different value? Is this device actually providing an easier way of living our life? What are ways that we can actually save money by enjoying life even more? Use this as a learning experience. When I was in high school, I worked at a Chinese restaurant making $7 an hour plus tips. It was actually like a great job to be able to have for a high school student. There was only one flaw, and that was that I never got paid. I was working for my good friend's dad that owned the Chinese restaurant, and oftentimes we would go an entire month without getting paid. And then when we did get paid, it was for like 1 week that we worked, or maybe 2 weeks, such a long time ago. So it was always very difficult to be able to get ahead. But what I did during this time was whenever we would have people come during our lunch rush especially, is I would kind of get to know them, and I would ask them, hey, when you were a high school student, what were some of the things that you wish you would have done to get you where you are now? And at most times, people were interested in sharing their story. They wanted to kind of pay it forward. And I did it in a non-creepy way, which I think is important to disclose. But then when I became, working in the corporate world, what I did at the bank was I specialized in business account opening. So I spoke with a lot of business owners, and I would ask them, what are things that you do as a business owner to help your personal finances? And I asked that because I knew I wanted to become a business owner at some point. And now I guess I'm a business owner. And what I'm doing is I'm asking people that have had a business for a very long time, what ways they do their taxes, or what are ways that they do write-offs and all of these things, even though I am not remotely close to needing to do any of those things with what I'm doing at the moment. But I believe, and I know that I will achieve that at some point. I believe that when we begin our financial journey, we begin saving, we begin even doing a relationship or all of these different things in life, the initial push of the boulder up the hill is always the most difficult. But what I like to do is I like to think of what are the hills going to be like in the future. So I'm always prepared. So I never have to start pushing the boulder up. I'm just maintaining the momentum. And the reason that I say this is I think it's very difficult when things are just hard, when it's very hard to be able to just save $100, when we're having to go through all of these different experiences, it feels like it's just unachievable. So why would I even think about investing? What I've found with my own personal experiences was every time that I was focused and learning about the place where I wanted to become, I was able to see and solve my problems with solutions I would never have thought of far quicker. I was able to always be able to be kind of one step ahead of the game that I was playing. I believe this to be the reason that most people that win the lottery end up losing it all, because they were able to get the end result without having to learn about the skills to be able to master the hills. I think, again, whenever we are spending our time working on our budget, working on a financial plan, having faith that things will be able to get better because we've given ourselves an allotted amount of time. We've been able to narrow the tunnel so we have some sort of direction. And we're always making sure that we're playing one step ahead. I believe this is how we're able to navigate these difficult times. I think for many of us, things are just very expensive. And financially, in the economy, things don't seem the best. But I think that things will be okay at the end. But I think there's active things that we need to do in our lives to be able to achieve that. Now, I hope that this was able to provide some sort of value to you. I know that, I actively left my job, took on a low income to be able to achieve this. And it's far different than what, most of you guys are going through. But I hope that I was able to articulate the words in some way that are able to help you navigate whatever experience it is that you're going through. I hope that you have a wonderful day. As always, I hope that this provided value. I hope that the budget video, if you haven't already watched it, is able to help in some sort of way as well. Thank you guys so much as always. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
How can you make money with such a stupid idea?
And how can you not make money with such a brilliant idea? At first, we didn't know what to do with all the money. We tried burying it, shredding it, and burning it. But in the end, we decided to just give it all away.
Come again, sir.
I'm getting back in line.